John Milton, life. John Milton was born in London in 1608. After studying in Cambridge, he thought about becoming a clergyman in the Church of England. But growing dissatisfaction with the state of the Anglican clergy, together with his own developing poetic interests, led him to abandon this idea. From 1632 to 1638, he studied Latin and Greek, classics, and ecclesiastical and political history before leaving for a tour of France, Greece, and Italy. While abroad, he met a number of distinguished people, including Galileo, then in prison in Florence. Learning of the approaching outbreak of the Civil War in England, he decided to return home. On his return to England, he settled in London and began writing a series of social, religious, and political pamphlets expressing support for the parliamentary cause in the Civil War. He also argued the cause for divorce, which made him unpopular with the Puritans. Milton became totally blind in about 1652, but continued his literary work, helped by an assistant. With the Restoration, Milton was punished for his support of Parliament with a fine and lived in seclusion until his death in 1674. Literary production. Milton's literary career can be divided into three periods. The first phase, 1625-1640, was mainly spent writing poems such as the Ode on the Morning of Christ's Nativity, the Sonnet on Shakespeare, l'Allegro and il Penseroso, and the Elegy Lycidas. The second phase of his career, 1640-1660, was characterized by the writing of prose pamphlets in which he attacked the institution of bishops supporting the English Reformation. He wrote on different subjects, such as freedom of the press, education, divorce, and the rights of the people against tyrant rulers. He also began composing his epic poem Paradise Lost and wrote 17 sonnets. The height of Milton's poetic career was reached in his third phase, 1660-1674, when he completed Paradise Lost, wrote Paradise Regained, and the poetic drama Samson Agonis. Paradise Lost, considered by many to be Milton's masterpiece, is one of the most ambitious poems ever written, and certainly one of the most difficult. It is an epic poem written in blank verse, unrhymed iambic pentameter. Milton intended to write an epic to equal the ancient Roman Aeneid by Virgil and the Greek Iliad and Odyssey by Homer. Built on a vast range of biblical and classical scholarship, Paradise Lost attempts to tell the story of the fall of Adam and Eve in 12 cantos or books in a way which is highly speculative and which raises problems of interpretation. The structure. The poem is divided in 12 cantos, each of which is preceded by a summary of its subject. Milton conceived this poem according to a complex mathematical structure whose parts were interrelated in a precisely defined way, often according to principles derived from the Hebrew Kabbalah and the Jewish tradition of mystical interpretation of the scriptures. It is curious that Milton's universe is based on a Ptolemaic model of an ordered hierarchy stretching from the highest being, God, to the lowest, the beasts of the field. Although Copernicus had disproved the Ptolemaic theory almost a century before, his ideas were still too revolutionary to gain widespread acceptance. The plot. The poem concentrates on the rebellion of God's favorite angel, Lucifer, who, after a tremendous battle, has been thrown down from heaven together with the other rebel angels. Finding themselves in hell, the rebel angels debate what to do and finally decide that the best form of revenge is to corrupt God's greatest creation, man. Lucifer, whose name is now changed to Satan, watches the happy couple, Adam and Eve, in the Garden of Eden and decides to base his temptation on the tree of knowledge. God sends a messenger, Raphael, to warn Adam of the calamity that is about to happen. Eve is then persuaded to eat the forbidden fruit by Satan, disguised as a snake, and Adam joins her in sin to demonstrate his love and solidarity. Though they eventually repent, they are driven from paradise out into the world. On their way out of the Garden of Eden, they are accompanied by Michael, who from the top of a hill shows them the future of the human race. Comforted by the hope in the Messiah's coming and immense consequent redemption, the couple leave the garden while the door of heaven closes behind them. The political dimension. Some critics have reflected on how Milton's treatment of the subject also functions as a political allegory of English history of the period. The rebellion of the angel Lucifer, who is cast out of heaven, partly seems to refer to the rebellion of the Puritans against King Charles I. Certainly, Milton's Satan has some of the qualities of an epic hero and is invested with an energy and intelligence that suggests the author sympathized with him, as he did with the Puritans.